This is Tom McLoughlin, and you're listening to the Necronomicast.
Good evening, Perry.
I own a motel not too far from here, and you'd be welcome to spend the night in one of the empty rooms if you'd like.
It burns! Oh, it burns! And I'm the devil.
Welcome back to part 2 of the Necronomicast and our interview with Tom McLoughlin. Yeah, he directed some movie, I forget what it was, maybe Friday 13th or something like that.
Don't leave home without it.
Oh, I have to deal with these guys on a weekly basis. Let's get on with the interview.
Well, they're making another one, so they say. And what's your opinion? You know, I don't know if you have an opinion on found footage, because there's a rumor that, do you think Friday could work as a found footage movie in the right hands?
That's a good question. I mean, if you asked me that a number of years back, I would have said absolutely. You know, but what was Blair Witch? I mean, kind of that without seeing the killer. I mean, you're out in the forest, and you know, these people are getting killed off and stuff. And why couldn't it, you know, they find
the first one.
Yeah,
a cabin? Yeah, I mean, a camera with this stuff. But it has been, you know, if you wanted to get a movie deal in this town and make a horror movie, and it's still a little still the same, but it's kind of going away more now, is, you know, do a found footage thing, because once Paranormal Activity took off and Blair Witch and things, it became, all right, here's an even cheaper way to do this.
Right.
You know, and keep it funky and keep it where you just don't know what's going to happen. And then some people come in and kind of, you know, redefine it, you know, like REC. Is that how you pronounce it? REC? The Mexican horror found footage thing?
Yeah, the marked ones, that was it?
Yeah, so I know REC, so I don't know if you call it REC or because it's short for record, but anyway, you know, I know people who love horror movies love those above a lot of the other ones because of the way that was handled. So if you go in and do it with Jason, I just don't think it's going to be particularly fresh. But if somebody asked me if I wanted to do one, and this was an idea that was thrown around, I love the idea of, you know, Crystal Lake in the snow, because something about seeing that breath coming out of that mask, almost like a bull, knowing that you could follow after his footsteps, and then suddenly they stop, and it's like, oh shit, where is he? You know,
That's good.
I mean, there's just so many opportunities. You know, you guys know what blood's going to look like in the snow. It's going to look great.
No, and, hey Tom, it'd be kind of funny though if you were helming a project like that. You know, you'd have to tie in something with Jason on the frozen lake wearing a hockey mask. You know,
Game on.
There'd have to be somebody's head rolled into a net or something. Yeah. We're talking with Tom McLoughlin, A Strange Idea of Entertainment, by his buddy Joseph Maddrey. Maddrey, is that how you pronounce it?
Maddrey.
Yeah, it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the usual places to get a book, and I'm about halfway through it, and it's a great read. And before we tie it up with you, Tom, I just wanted to say, also, I'm a huge Stephen Banks fan. I'm 39 years old, so when the Stephen Banks Home Entertainment Center came out, was it HBO or Showtime?
Showtime.
God damn, man. I'm a musician. We're all musicians here. And just seeing what that guy did with comedy and props and music, and you were the director of that, I had no idea until the other day when I got the book. So I'm really geeking out over this interview, Tom. It's been amazing to talk to you, sir.
Well, what I've tried to do in my career is to not get boxed in, which is great for the artist, but not so great for getting the next job. Because it's like, you know, this business is about, you know, putting you in a box. And I remember, you know, I'm part of this group called the Masters of Horror, and this was a gang that Nick Garris put together. And, you know, and it was all, in the beginning, there was like, I don't know, 12, 13 of us, you know, like apostles, that, you know, got together and, you know, just kind of, you know, talked about stuff. And And then it's grown now that sometimes at these dinners there's like 50 people there, and the women directors and the up and coming guys. You've got the new movie that's going to come out this week, and then going all the way back to Larry Cohen and Tom Holland and everybody. I mean, it's just been just amazing how many people will show up at these things. And we're all the same. You guys, all of us, it's like we're these kind of laid-back guys who just love this twisted shit, and, and we love each other that, it's like, oh, I love when you did this so-and-so, and you throw Quentin Tarantino in there, or Robert Rodriguez with the rest of us, and we're all on the same level. Palermo, same thing. When he shows up, John Landis, all these people, although they might have higher energy than most of us on the planet, it's a bunch of little boys who probably put salt on snails to watch them bubble when they were kids, and then felt bad when somebody told you, well, that was really not very nice, but you had to see.
It's the same boys that snuck in at night and filmed with their Super 8 camera.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's an amazing thing, to be in that kind of company. But at the same time, I wanted to try other things. So when I got off into TV movies and stuff, if I did a thriller at one point, then the next thing I wanted to do was, a romantic movie. And then the next thing I wanted to do was something huge like global warming. And then, next thing, a Christmas movie, a thing about Santa Claus. I mean, you see it's all in the book. I just kept jumping genres, and it made it very hard to say, where does this guy belong? But at one of these dinners, my point is I was talking with, sitting next to Wes Craven, and he was, going on, I think, what was the movie? I think he had just come out with the last thing he did, which was, I think, The Last Scream.
He just made one.
Which didn't,
yeah.
I think it was The Last Scream, and it didn't do as well as, of course, he hoped and everybody else hoped. And yet he's made some, really good movies that weren't in the genre, but as he says, people don't want to see him do that. Mm. And when I was talking about what I did, he kind of looked at me and he said, if I had to do it again, I'd want to have your career. I said, oh, come on, please. You're Wes Craven, name above the title. And he said, yeah, but I wanted people to see I could do all these other things. And because you did all these TV things, they allowed you to do that. I mean, and I did have a lot of control on a lot of the things I did, because if I brought them in on time and on budget, you could kind of sneak in what other little things you want along the way. And they were like, okay, fine, as long as he's not doing anything that the sponsors are going to object to.
Right.
But, when you make these big movies that are one particular genre, you can't get away from it. It's like they really don't want to see you expand out and try something. And the big thing, of course, is with actors. Take Stallone when he started to do comedies. Forget it. They wanted Rocky. They wanted Rambo. Now he's got the Expendables. That he put together, which is basically the same idea. But
but he also did don't or My Mom Will Shoot or whatever the hell that was with Estelle Getty.
Yeah,
he shit the bed on that one.
And Judge Dredd, and we can go on.
But it is kind of what, and I don't put it down, because I think people wanted to have a feeling of expectation. If you're going to go in and see an Alfred Hitchcock movie, you're going to expect a certain type of thing. If you're going to go in and see a God forbid, Adam Sandler movie, certain type of comedy, and you get locked into that, and it's very hard to break out of it. So there's that, they're paying me millions and millions of dollars, but I'm miserable.
Yeah.
And then there's the schmucks like me that it's like, well, I get 50 cents, but I love getting up every morning and going, this is cool. I want to see what I can research and figure out about this. Because when you start venturing into true crime and you're talking to people on death row who did these insane murders and they have like nothing on it and they sleep well at night, you go, holy shit. I would think these people would get punished, by their sins. And there's like, because they're, sociopaths, it was like a non-event. It's like, yeah, I did that, but, whatever. And then also, heartwarming things that you go, God, we are capable of doing so many wonderful things, but what were most fascinating fascinated in is the darker side, which is why all the news stories are always, the worst possible thing. And I guess it makes us feel better if somebody else is in worse shit than we are. So it's been very interesting to keep trying different things, and keep attempting to get a better handle on what's going on out there. And
sounds like you got it all figured out, though.
No.
Yeah, right.
No. I mean, as you'll see in the book, my best thing I'm going to do is once I'm dead. Now that's going to be interesting because
is this the whole thing?
Until you read the book, you won't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I kind of got an idea reading through it. So you've got your final resting place kind of picked out, and you're visiting it, kind of depositing some energy.
Well, there was a supplemental thing that was on the box or the DVD that came out on. I guess it was a year ago too, and the same time the box set came out, the Crystal Lake memories and memories of. Yeah, there was on the extra DVD. There's a black and white documentary about how I wrote Friday the 13th at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, as well as shot One Dark Night there, as well as purchased a crypt there since my wife and kids threw my 60th birthday party at the cemetery. So, I started thinking, I don't want this to be my third act. And once I turned 60, it's like, no, I still got 40 years of coming up with all kinds of other stuff. I've got to.
The book's great.
But
Tom.
I want to know where the last act is. And it's like, okay, it ends there where I shot my first movie in that mausoleum, but the show can still go on, and that's kind of what is talked about in that documentary called Legends Never Die, Hollywood Forever, which you can see on YouTube. It's on there now, as well as what's talked about in the book.
Yeah, we've got just a few minutes more, Tom.
Okay.
We were going to talk to you a little bit about, these guys also do they do paranormal stuff as well, and they're interested in that. It was really fun to find out a little bit about that you're also interested in that. And then I also wanted to talk to you about did we have like rapid fire questions from the movie that we wanted to see to clarify that because it's kind of fun to be able to go back and revisit the movie again. Having seen it not only when we were younger, but also throughout the years, and then getting this and being able to talk to you with this. But there was a few things we noticed that we were talking about this in our last podcast. A few things we noticed, and then we'll talk about a little paranormal stuff. But a few things we noticed that came up that we thought, hey, this would be a good chance to ask the writer and director about. That we noticed that we can't find anywhere or any thing. So, Doug, you had one
Which
about
one?
The book.
About Nancy? Like Nancy from Nightmare or whatever?
Well, I noticed that one of the kids that's sleeping in the cabin there has got like a Sartre book, No Exit. And I was wondering what the story was behind that. That made me chuckle.
The No Exit?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because at a screening about a year ago here in Los Angeles, that was like what brought the house down. And
really?
Isn't that amazing? Because literally, I love working with kids, and of course that was my crazy idea by putting them actually in a movie for the first time, having the audience go, "Oh, they're not going to kill those kids, are they?" And but it was, it was out there, it was in the air, it was certainly a distinct possibility. And when we did the sleeping sequence, going from kid to kid, I was just sort of coming up with, this one should have a teddy bear, and this one have a doll, and this one brought their hamsters and stuff. And then I had one little girl that I loved her face, and it didn't have a bit for her. And I went over, and there was a bunch of books, in a little bookcase on the side. And I was going through, and then I saw No Exit. I said, "This is great. Let's put that." Are you kidding me? And I said, "Why would she be reading that?" She's
at bedtime at camp.
Trust me.
Yeah.
But again, it was just a kind of a last minute, improv. Put something in there as a joke, but because of the, when people have read the book and you get older and then you see the movie and it has taken on, much more weight than it was ever actually intended. The thing I was also hoping would really get a big laugh was the, so what were you going to be when you grew up?
Right.
And things like that. I mean, that is pure Little Rascals. I mean, that's right from those old. Even that one kid almost looks like Alfalfa.
Yeah.
I wanted to get that, that sense of, dark irony even with the kids.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Yeah. Hey, one last thing I want to talk to you about, Tom. You answered a lot of my questions about the Friday stuff, and it's been a real treat to talk to you. And I know there's a bunch of it in the book, A Strange Idea of Entertainment, available on Amazon. But we're all musicians here. Wayne and Doug are drummers and artists, and I'm a classically trained trumpet player, play keys in a rock band in town, and all kinds of things. Tell us a little bit about you singing with the Sloths.
Wow. Yeah, that's if I'm going to have one message to pass along to people is never give up your dream.
Yes, sir.
As I said earlier, when the Beatles came and I saw what was going on with girls and all the guys that had the short hair were not interested, but those of us that, suffered the beatings and because again, in the early 60s, and I went to Catholic school, the nuns and the brothers could beat you, and you got
beat
wacky.
You.
And they did, I still got some lead in my arm from a pencil that a nun jammed in there because I was writing with my left hand instead of my right. And to remind me, I'm going to jab you so you remember that's your right hand that you're supposed to, So it was a different time, needless to say. But the music suddenly was everything. And the Stones, the Yardbirds, all those groups at that time, and the rhythm and blues influences that then made us start to go and, research, the great blues artists and, Muddy Waters and John Lee Hooker and B.B. King and all these people. And it became, our lives. I mean, music was everything. And we'd play any place, go anywhere that, where we could get an opportunity to do that. And then for me and most of the guys, it ended around 69, and as all the heroes were dying, Janis, Jimmy, Jim Morrison, I mean, drugs, and the whole scene was just getting, really ugly. The Manson murders started up. And if you had long hair, I remember I wasn't served in restaurants. I got spit on. I mean, literally, a car would come, pull up and go, "Hey, hippie," and then, spit on you. Because it was like hippies now suddenly became killers. And we never looked at ourselves as hippies. That was a whole different culture. We were freaks. Take that, take that turn.
I'm not a hippie. I'm a freak, sir.
So you basically, all that dream kind of disappeared. And although I went to Paris and studied mime so I could be a better, visual performer on stage, because I was like, I can't just keep doing the same thing that James Brown and Jim Morrison and Mick Jagger and Roger Daltrey do. I got to find my own thing here. But once I got into mime, I suddenly realized, I can do comedy with this. That's cool. And kind of got away from rock and roll. So then cut to friggin' 45 years later, I get a call from one of the guys in that band saying, "You remember that record, Making Love, that we were doing?" And yeah, it's selling on eBay for $6,650.
Jesus.
How the fuck? What? And it's like,
I want a piece of that action.
What happened in the 80s is some very smart, enterprising guy went around and found all these obscure records that didn't seem to have any copyrights or, weren't registered or anything, and put together this thing called Back from the Grave. And it was all these, garage bands from that time period, and it really took off in Europe and became, just a major thing, and it still is. I mean, when we play over there, it's like we're gods and we're nobodies. But that record meant something, to a lot of people. And so suddenly, the bunch of us, one guy's a lawyer, one guy was a mechanic, another guy is taking care of his kids because he's a single father and stuff. And we're going let's relive the dream. Let's go back and do this again and see what happens. Figuring, be one or two shows and they're going to laugh us off. It's like, sit down, Pop, go home. But the exact opposite happened, and the people were taping it on their cell phones. It was going on YouTube, and within 2 years, suddenly we've done 70 gigs,
Wow.
And have gone to Spain, have gone to the Ponderosa Stomp in New Orleans, have, gone to a garage rock festival in Reno, Nevada, and the Ugly Things magazine celebration, 30-year celebration in San Diego. And we're bouncing all around, basically doing the same music, and yet with like 5 times the passion and energy that we had when we were 16. Because it's like now it really means something.
Right.
So, go figure. I mean, as I kept saying, I think if this ends now, great. We did it. So it's over. But now we've written 14 original songs. We're going to go into the studio again. We've put 2 of them on iTunes and all the usual places, CD Baby and stuff, and got some very good airplay in New York and things on them. So
beautiful.
It's like we're going to keep going, and just see what happens. I'm not giving up movies by any stretch, but it's like it's more than a hobby.
Well, Tom,
a passion.
Yeah, Tom, we're just guys in our 40s, and we do all kinds of things: music, art. We talk about horror movies, and then we're going to go do something else right after this. I mean, you're an inspiration to guys like us in our 40s because, we don't see an end to what we're doing by any means.
No.
And so, if Tom's out there doing it, and he's doing it well, and he's got this great history, and you're an inspiration, man. And it's so awesome to talk to you because you're still. I'm kind of sitting here and I'm kind of digesting this intellectually, but it's like I'm like, God damn, man, I'm talking to the guy that scared the shit out of me when I was 13 years old in 1986, and I love it. And we got Tom McLoughlin here. A Strange Idea of Entertainment is the name of the book. Do a Google search on it. You can also check a website on the back of the book. It says bearmanormedia.com. I'm sure there's all kinds of books that people will find
Amazon's probably where you're going to get the best price.
I got Prime, baby. I got Prime. It got to my house in 2 days.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that great?
That's awesome.
That's so great. I love Prime.
I don't have that.
Tom, we love you, man. Thanks for shooting it with us, man.
Sure. Can I leave you with one great piece of advice that I actually got from the incredible sci-fi fantasy writer Ray Bradbury?
Oh, goddamn, yeah. Do it.
I met him after a play that he had done, and I said, "Do you have any advice for a young writer?" And he said, "You know what? Whatever you love to do, do it." He said, people used to say, why do you hold on to all this trivia and all this nostalgia and be interested in all this stuff? And he goes, I just loved it. But you know what? Anything that you guys love will end up working to your benefit at some point in your life. So never let anybody say, "Oh, that's stupid. Why do you care about that?" If it means something to you, pursue it, go at it with a passion, because it's going to pay off in some way, shape, or form that you don't see yet. And as I said, the fact I'm back doing rock and roll and doing crazier shit than I ever did in the 60s with performing and stuff, it's just living out the dream. So don't ever let the dream die. Go for what it is that you love.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
And if it doesn't, just stick a stake in it and shoot it with a lightning bolt, and it will come back alive, no matter what.
For about eight more movies.
Yeah, it'll last. Oh, wow. Right on. Well, Tom, stay on the line with us right here, but we're going to sign off from Necronomicast. Again, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. In fact, our logo is the Jason mask with headphones, so it's interesting.
I love it.
So... All right, well, we'll see you next time on Necronomicast. My name is Wayne.
This is Brian.
And this is Doug. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Necronomicast, a weekly podcast produced by Wayne Brecky, part of the Free Life Media Network. For show notes and other information, go to necronomicast.com.